There's almost been 200 SMGs in Call of Duty's 21-year history, and we have fan favorites like the UMP-45 and MP7 that everyone remembers. But then there are some SMGs that we want to forget because they were so bad, and today we're looking at the top 10 worst SMGs in Call of Duty history. You'll sadly remember some of them, and hopefully forgotten about others. What do you think will make the list? 10th, the K7 from COD Ghosts. Everyone loves and remembers the Honey Badger because of the integrated suppressor. Well, the K7 also had an integrated suppressor, but it did not get loved like the Honey Badger. It starts off nicely by having a good fire rate at 895 rounds per minute, but this did come with higher recoil. In fact, it actually had the highest recoil of any SMG in COD Ghosts. Up close, it was decent, but after its initial range, it had absolutely worthless levels of damage at 15, meaning it took 7 shots to kill in Call of Duty Ghosts. You know, the game where one of the biggest complaints was how fast the time to kill was, and you had a weapon shooting out peas. So, the only way to use this weapon effectively was to use that integrated suppressor and stealthily play, aka camp in corners waiting for people to run by, just like this guy does to me with a K7 of his own. All in all, this gun was made and wasn't made for Ghosts because the biggest complaint about the game is camping, but the second biggest complaint was the giant maps, and it only works with one of those two things. 9th, the Striker 45 from Modern Warfare 2019. Before I talk about this sub, I need to talk about how bad MW 2019 multiplayer is. The very first game I played to get this footage pissed me off so much with how much everyone camped and just sat in corners. It made me pull out a heartbeat sensor to check which corners people were sitting in. It was awful. Now back into the Striker 45. People wanted to love this sub because it looks like a UMP-45 that everyone loves, but it did not perform nearly as well. The rate of fire is very slow for an SMG at 600 rounds per minute, which is the same as an STG assault rifle, but it doesn't have the same range or damage as an AR. And after its initial range, it took 5 shots to kill, making the time to kill horrible for a game with super fast TTKs. But even in the initial range where it has good damage, it only had a slightly below average TTK for SMGs, meaning it wasn't good anywhere. And it doesn't even have good recoil. If you want it to be accurate, you have to build it that way, making it really slow. But then why would you do that with a weapon that doesn't have a good time to kill up close or at range? Well, the only reason to make it accurate is because the one positive stat about this weapon is high headshot damage, but it's still dumb. And on top of this, the base mag size is 25 rounds, but luckily you can fix that with the 45 round mag, so it's not the biggest issue. Overall, I hated this gun and never used it in multiplayer or Warzone. And if you guys enjoy these videos, please hit the like button to let me know you want me to make more of them. Thanks. 8th, the PM63 from Black Ops 1. SMGs were not made with love in Black Ops 1. A few of them are pretty good, but the ARs dominated the game, and the PM63 was almost good, but it had a few too many issues. The good, it fired really fast with 937 rounds per minute, but paired with its 20 round mag, that makes it bad. And it gets worse. The extended mag only made it 30 rounds, which still empties immediately with that fire rate. So while the TTK wasn't horrible, it had to reload so often that it hurt it greatly. And on top of this, the Kaparis had the same exact fire rate, mag size, range, and damage profile as the PM63, but it was just better. And the reason it was better was that the Kaparis has less recoil and more wall penetration damage. So why would you use the PM63 that kicked up over the Kaparis that just shot straight? So while I love Black Ops 1, I can't admit they did not balance the weapons greatly in multiplayer. 7th, the Scorpion from COD 4. I want to start off by saying I really love this SMG even though it sucks. And it was great for 5 meters. And then it completely fell off a cliff and sucked. It could 2-shot kill without stopping power up to 5 meters, which is crazy, especially with how tiny this SMG is. I guess the saying is true, don't judge a book by its cover. But after that, it's a 5-shot kill, which doesn't work too greatly. And a fun fact about the Scorpion is that a headshot with stopping power inside of 5 meters did 98 damage, which is just crazy. I feel like it was almost a troll weapon. It was fun, but it just wasn't good in 99% of situations. Because you have to remember, Juggernaut is a perk in COD 4, and it completely destroyed the Scorpion. You just never knew what to expect when you shot this SMG, because sometimes it would feel great, and other times awful. It would basically depend on if you were 5 or 6 meters away, or if your opponent had Juggernaut or not. Juggernaut or not. That felt weird to say, but hopefully it made sense. And the last issue that I can't believe I haven't brought up until now is it had a 20-round mag, and there was no extended mag attachment. So taking 5 shots to kill past 5 meters with only 20 rounds in a mag, that's not good. And on top of that, it had an 857 round per minute fire rate, which means that mag also emptied pretty quickly. So while I love this one, I had to put it on the list. 86% of you watching aren't subscribed, and if just 1% more of you did, we'd be at 100K. And that would mean a lot to me, so please hit that button. It's free. I appreciate it a lot. 6th, the HVR from Infinite Warfare. This SMG has one great stat. It had the best range of all subs in Infinite Warfare, and somehow it didn't take any more shots to kill at far range because of its extremely small damage falloff of 5. Now you're probably thinking, why is the HVR on this list then? And it's because it had the slowest fire rate of all SMGs, the smallest mag at a super weird 26 bullets, and the recoil was super unpredictable, which made it hard to be accurate with, which doesn't pair well with its good range, because what's the point of having good range if you're not going to be hitting the shots? Then the other reason is this game had classic weapons, with one of them being the MacTab 45, aka the UMP 45, and it was just like the HVR with the small difference of being it was way better in large part due to having better recoil. There was just no reason to run the HVR. 5th, the CBJ-MS from COD Ghosts. This is the first game to have multiple SMGs on the list, but it will not be the last game too. Similar to the K7 earlier, it has a massive damage fall off past close range, making it useless outside of the super close quarters because the range is only 9 meters, which is less than the range of some shotguns in this game. Something like the MTAR-X, Vector, and Vepr are examples of Ghost subs that don't suck and work well up close to mid-range. The only benefit to the CBJ is that it has the fastest fire rate at 1,000 rounds per minute, and that helps give it an above average time to kill up close for SMGs. But of course, the no range and higher recoil in a game that has gigantic maps is a pretty big issue. The CBJ is one of those weapons that would be better if it was in a different Call of Duty. If it was in a game like Black Ops 6 where all the maps are smaller, it could work. 4th, the SN6 from Advanced Warfare. The biggest issue with this SMG is that it doesn't kill quickly up close, at mid-range, or at long range. It just isn't good anywhere. And the reason it isn't good anywhere is because its mid-range damage area is only 3 meters from 15 to 18. If that extended further, it could be decent at mid-range, but Sledgehammer said, nah, we'll make it bad everywhere outside of 15 to 18 meters. That sounds like a good idea. Then it doesn't fire super fast, and it doesn't have high recoil, but it has mainly horizontal recoil, which is harder to control than vertical recoil. There just wasn't a reason to use this one, but I managed to do decently in this game where my team was getting obliterated, and while I went slightly positive with it, somehow my teammates were reverse boosting in a game from 2014 with 100 players online, or they were just the worst COD players of all time. 2-11? 0-30? That's just not even possible. And while I couldn't get the Obsidian Steed or Speakeasy in Advanced Warfare, I could get an elite SN6 variant that made it good from 15 to 22 meters. I'm so lucky. Maybe I'll get something good now. That's about right. 3rd, the ISO from Modern Warfare 2019. Just like the Striker 45 from earlier, I never used this sub, but it's even worse across the board. It is the worst weapon in MW 2019. It isn't good at anything. It has a trash time to kill. Oh, I almost forgot what game I was playing. Look at how people play this game. If you like MW 2019 with how people play it, I don't understand you at all. Unless you only play Search and Destroy. But back into the ISO being bad, it has a small mag, and size does matter in this case, high recoil, and really bad iron sights. Infinity Ward built it like a hybrid SMG AR because they gave it good range, but then everything else sucks. It just isn't good at being an SMG or an AR, and I don't know why anyone would choose to use this outside of getting the Mastery camo. Maybe I should have put it higher on the list, and that's saying something with it already being in the 3rd spot. 2nd, the Uzi from Black Ops 1. In a game where the ARs dominated and the SMGs didn't get much love outside of the AK-74U and MP5K, the Uzi stood out as the worst of the 9 SMGs and arguably the worst primary weapon in Black Ops 1, with only the Dragunov competing. You guys know how much I love Black Ops 1, and I only hated 3 things about it: second chance, the China Lake, and the Uzi. But what makes it so bad? The damage is low, the iron sights are one of the 5 worst in Call of Duty history, making it incredibly difficult to see while you aim down sight, and the recoil is very high. And you know what the one good stat on the Uzi is? It has a 17.5 meter range, which makes no sense with the high recoil and trash iron sights. You can't take advantage of its one good quality. I hate this gun with a passion, and it's from my favorite Call of Duty. Quickly, do you guys have any guesses for what the worst SMG is in Call of Duty history? Pause the video and write it in the comments section. First, the AMR-9 from Advanced Warfare. The worst SMG of all time is a burst SMG. And I normally like the burst subs like the cheat gun from Black Ops 2 that was before it, or the Pharaoh from Black Ops 3 that was after it. But this one is not like the others. First, it's a 5-round burst, which is unique, and you can add a grenade launcher onto it, which is really weird for a sub. Second, you can only one burst kill out to 8 meters. It was just a hit marker machine. Third, even though the recoil is low, it always felt like it was impossible to hit all of your shots in a burst, which made it take 2 to 3 bursts pretty much all the time. Then the hip fire was terrible, and it also had the slowest fire rate on SMGs in Advanced Warfare. On top of that, it was really difficult to get the max fire rate on it with the delay in between the bursts. It's just wildly inconsistent, which made it a frustrating gun to use. But if you want to know what guns were the most fun to use, look at the community's top 25 Call of Duty weapons of all time right here. My weapon tournament got over 2 million votes to make the list. Check it out. Peace.